So today we're going to be starting off with the most basic of matrix operations. This is going to be adding and subtracting matrices. Now, the most important part when we add or subtract them is to make sure we only combine the corresponding elements or positions. That means the matrices have to be the same dimensions before we can continue. So what we're going to look at is, let's take a look at a few examples to see which ones can we actually add and subtract, because we can't just add and subtract any of them. These are both 2 by 2 matrices, which means that we will have no problem doing addition or subtraction with them. Because this matrix is a 3 by 3 and this is a 3 by 2, I can't actually combine those two matrices. Same thing right here. I have a 2 by 3 and I have a 3 by 2. Can't do anything with that. I can't do anything with this either. But I can go ahead and add these two and add these two, because I get myself a 3 by 3 and a 3 by 3. Over here I have a 3 by 1 and a 3 by 1. Perfect. So without further ado, let's jump into a few of them. So the first thing that I want to notice is, are they the same dimensions? So I have a 3 by 1 and a 3 by 1, which means that yes, I can in fact add these two together. So if I have a 3 by 1 and 3 by 1, I am going to only add the corresponding elements, which means that I'm going to take the top and the top. 3 plus 1 is going to give me a 4. I'm going to take the middle and the middle and say 4 plus 2 is going to give me a 6. And then bottom and bottom, 5 plus 3 is going to give me an 8. And that is my resulting matrix. Next one, I'm going to be doing the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set up my new matrix because they are both 3 by 1s. And I'm going to say, okay, 3 plus a negative 2 is 3 minus 2. 4 plus a 1 is 5. And then 5 plus a negative 6 is going to give us a negative 1. And there's your answer. Matrices work the exact same. If I have a minus sign, no big deal. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, okay, top minus top is going to give me a 2. Middle minus middle. Now, because this is minus a negative, you can think of it as 4 plus 4, but only in the middle. And then if I have the bottom, I have 5 minus 5, which is 0. So we see the fact that the negatives do actually affect the numbers in the same way that we would expect in regular algebra. And then no matter the shape, as long as these are both 2 by 2s, I know my answer is going to also be a 2 by 2. So top left, 2 plus 5. Bottom right, 1 plus 8 is 9. If I take top right, 4 minus 2 is 2. Bottom left, negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. There we go. So why don't you try the next one? Give that a shot, pause the video, unpause when you're done and see how well you did. Okay? Let's make sure we got this. So I know my matrix is going to be a 2 by 2 because I'm dealing with two 2 by 2s. Because I have a minus sign, I know I can effectively distribute that minus sign in here and just look at it as a negative 5 minus 1. And then for the bottom, I would say 12 minus negative 1, which is plus. And for the top right, I would say 1 minus 4 is negative 3. For the bottom left, I would say negative 8 minus negative 8 becomes plus 0. Awesome. And so if you got that, try the last one. Okay. Now that you've had a shot to try it, let's take a look and see how well you did. Actually, let's keep this in blue because we've been doing blue. We're just going to go ahead and I'm going to say top left, minus 0.1 is going to give us 1.6. For the middle, minus a negative is going to be plus. That's going to be plus 1, so it's going to be negative 0.8. And for the bottom right, minus a negative 2 is plus 2. This is going to be 3.3. For the top 0.7 minus 2 is going to give us negative 1.3. For the for the middle right, I have 0.4 minus 0.1, 0.3. For the left middle, 0.4 minus 2 is going to be negative 1.6. For the bottom middle, 0.9 minus 0.4 is 0.5. And then for the top right, I get negative 1.5. And for the bottom left, I have negative 0.3 minus 1.6, which is negative 1.9. There we go. Perfect. And so that is going to bring us to our next section. These are adding, subtracting matrices, except for instead of adding them just simply, we have missing terms. So we're going to look at a few ways to solve this and ways that might make more sense. So the example is given is that if I'm looking at a matrix plus a matrix, which you'll see that matrices typically are shown in capital letters. I know that A is a matrix because it's a capital A. If I have that plus that, I know that matrix A must be the same dimensions as my other matrices, which is going to be a 2 by 2. So the other way that I'm going to do is I'm going to say, if I want to figure out what that matrix is, why don't I just subtract that matrix from over here? So I'll get this minus this is going to be my A, which when combined gets me this result. So what we're going to take a look at when we jump into number 1 is we are going to look at, okay, if I have this plus A, why don't I just look at A and say, how about I subtract a 3, 4, 5 matrix and say A must be a 3 by 1 matrix of 1 minus 3, 2 minus 4, and 3 minus 5. Boom. There's your answer. If I look at number 4, I'm going to do the same thing. Well, if B is plus this, how about I just subtract this from the other side and see what we get. So B is equal to, see, negative 2 minus 3 is negative 5. 1 minus 4 is negative 3, negative 11. Likewise on number 7, if I have a matrix minus, I do the exact same thing that I regularly would. I would go ahead and I would add that over here. So 1, negative 4, 5, and I'm going to add these two things together. It's a little scrunched in there, but we're going to know that C is also going to be a 3 by 1, which is 1 plus 3. Let's see, we got a negative 4 plus 4. And we have a 3 plus 5. So why don't you try the next one, the next two. Let's try number 10 and number 12. Give it a shot, work ahead, unpause the video when you're done, and see how well you did. Okay. So now that you've had a shot, both of these are worked the same way. Now they are 2 by 2s, but in essence, same thing's going on. I'm going to subtract 2, 4, negative 3, 1 to see what my new matrix is going to be. So D is equal to 5 minus 2, 5 minus 2, which is 3. Actually, let's set up our matrix of 2 by 2. Negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6. 1 minus negative 3 is plus 3. 8 minus 1 is 7. Awesome. And then if you did number 12, I know that I'm not going to subtract this. I'm going to add my negative 5, 1, negative 8, and 12. Which means my E is going to be equal to the same dimensions of 2 by 2. 1 plus negative 5, 4 plus 1, negative 8 plus negative 8, and negative 1 plus 12. Boom. That's going to bring us to the last one. So go ahead and try this one. Unpause the video when you're done and see how well you did. Okay. So what we're going to do here, simply because this is a lot of writing, and I don't necessarily want to write that over here, I can just go ahead and say, hey, I know it's going to be these two functions added together. So I could say, okay, 1.5 plus negative 0.1. So let's set that up. 1.5 plus that is going to be 1.4. 0.7 plus 2 is going to be 2.7. Negative plus 1 is going to be 0.5. That's going to be a 2.4. Plus 1 is going to be a negative 0.8. 0.5. 1.3. And 1.3. Well, negative 0.7 is that last one. And there we go.